Sovereign RPG, I am Sovereign, and today we're going to do a quick intro into Anomalies. Now this is another one of the ways for you to make ISK early in the game and all the way through to the end game, depending on what level you're going to be doing the actual anomalies from 1 to 10 and from small to large. Now what this means is that in high sec you can have a maximum of level 3 in the combat anomalies, in low sec you can have a maximum of level 5, and in null sec you can have a maximum of level 10. Now saying that, when you actually look at some systems within the game, they have what is called a true sec. Now that true sec can be giving out as a decimal point, so it could be just below or just above, rounding a system up or down on their actual security status. So some low sec systems can go up to a maximum of level 6, making it an actual null sec system, and also allow for the spawning of dead space sites. And also a high sec system can be rounded up to a low sec system, making a maximum of level 4. But a low sec system can be rounded down to a level 3 depending on what its true sec status is. Now if you'd like to see what the true sec statuses are of different systems and the systems that you are in, just go onto .lan. It's pretty much copy pasted from there to here. So let's go outside of the station, undock, and we'll get going on one of the anomalies as an example for you while I explain what's happening. You open up your overview on the right hand side. Now you want to look at cosmic anomalies. Now cosmic anomalies in Eve Echoes are only combat sites. So you have your bases, you'll have your medium anomalies, small anomalies, and large anomalies. Now these can be difficult depending on what level you are looking at. So as you can see here, there's a small anomaly 6. So we'll just fly over to the small anomaly 6 and we'll show that off from the beginning. Now I'm flying a cruiser, so 6s and 5s are actually not so bad for what I have fitted, and my cruiser, the Omen, is actually fitted fully faction fit, so it's actually, I can do a lot higher than what normal people would be able to do. So I would not recommend going and doing level 6s and level 7s in a standard fit Omen trainer. This is an actual built Omen from players, so you have an extra low slot. As an example, you have better EHP and more DPS. When you land inside of the anomaly, you'll see that there are ships within as soon as you land. So these ships are going to start to want to attack you. Now if you're flying a cruiser like myself, you're going to want to kill the frigates first, because if they get under your guns, you will not be able to hit them. So we're going to go over here, we're going to try and kill it as quickly as possible, give it the one shot. It's like half of its health in one go, that's not too bad. Another shot for that guy, and we want to kill the smaller guys first, because they can, once they get into range, they can go underneath your guns, as I said earlier. So I've got this on auto orbit right now. So what normally that is I wouldn't normally do that on most, like I wouldn't do it in PvP for example, but in this sort of situation it puts you at your default orbit. But at this point in the game, when you are doing just anomalies, you can have the auto orbit on because it does it at your optimal range if you have that clicked on in the settings. Now there will be another guide on all of the settings to go through with PvP, with locking back, with auto orbits, etc. All this stuff we can go through at another time. Now what you will see when you're going into these combat anomalies is these ships can hit you from a certain range. Like this guy's hitting me it's not hitting me too badly from this distance, and I haven't even got any of my modules activated for the defense purposes. But this is only a small, the easiest of each particular level. What I'm going to do through the actual going through of these anomalies, I'm going to speed up when we're actually fighting. Now this one's got a Mala in it, and this Mala may take a little bit of a beating, so we're going to save the actual DPS modules for when we fight that guy. So let's get this guy over here. We should kill it pretty quickly. We got pretty damn good weapons. It's faction fit, as I said before. Our shield is lowering to a certain point, so we're going to speed it up now, and once we kill the actual enemies, we'll come back to talking about it. So while we're going to be fighting this Mala and going into the next wave of enemies that come up, because every anomaly has multiple waves, you have the smalls, which usually have between 2, from high sec 2 waves, then going into low sec 3, and in null sec it will have 4 waves, and then you'll have the mediums, which have 3 to 6 waves, and then you have the larges, which could have quite a lot of waves. Now I haven't done any 7+, so I haven't got any hard information on the launch details of what we have for the amount of waves for larges and mediums at higher levels. Now I'll put somewhere on the screen, somewhere up above or to the side, an old bit of spreadsheet that we put together for the amount in each wave and how many waves. Now this is still pretty accurate, but please be aware that this may have some differences because it has been 2 betas since then. So while we're going to be doing this and running around, and sort of our shield is going to be a little bit lower, so we might have to start going into putting in our armor reps on, getting ready. I'll turn the armor rep off because we haven't got into the armor yet and it'll just be a waste of capacitor, but we are stable in this ship, so I can pretty much just go AFK while I'm doing this. We want to kill that crucifier because that crucifier will get underneath our guns, so we'll make sure we get that before we get in there. We don't want him to get underneath the guns. And these guys over here in Blood Raider territory, they have a lot of neutralizers and they can do some damage. Let's move over to the coercer. Right, so let's talk about the different special sites. We have Inquisitor sites, we have Scout sites, and we have Dead Space sites, and we have bases. Now I bet you've heard a million times about bases and what they shouldn't be attacked, etc, etc, but I'm just going to go over some of the statistics and some of the mechanics to do with some of the bases. Now we're starting to get hit a little bit harder by this mana, but the tank is holding pretty nicely, so we don't have to worry too much. Right, so you have bases. Bases start off at level 1, and bases spawn anomalies in the system. Now there are system anomalies which spawn that are the same level as the system. So this system that I'm in right now is actually level 6, so it will standardly spawn level 6 anomalies, some of them. Now the base will spawn the other amount of bases, and that includes the scouts and inquisitors which spawn at the level of the base. So when people are running around killing bases, it actually causes a big problem for people in progression. So they won't get any blueprints or any high level blueprints, you won't get any high level rigs. So Inquisitor sites will give you your high level rigs, and your Scout sites will give you your data cores and your BPs for your modules, your cloaking devices, your group caps, your group shield field modules, and your armor links as examples. And it will also give you your blueprints for your different levels of drones. So right now we're just going to jump and warp over to this scout anomaly. Let's see if any of my guys are in there killing it. We can probably see that they're in there. They're a little bit more difficult, but this one's a level 3, so we shouldn't have that much of an issue. And one of my corp mates just actually told me that there's actually an Inquisitor site in our main system as well, so we can go and have a look at that. But I'm going to have a look at this scout site while we're explaining. So bases level up every 6 or 12 hours. We have no confirmation on a 6 or 12, but we do know it's one of the two. Now this can be sped up by the amount of gates in the system, so bases can level up quicker than the 6 to 12 hours. We've had one of our bases level up 3 times in one day. That's probably because the amount of times that the gates are being used, and there's 3 gates in that system. Now I'm sorry if this is getting a little bit complicated, but we get into the mechanics of it and hopefully you can understand, and I'm not just throwing random facts at you that you can't actually put into use. So the special sites that we have other than the bases are the Inquisitors and the Scout sites. Now they have a 5 to 10% chance. We'll start doing this scout site. Now they have a 5 to 10% chance depending on the base level, and level 3 seems to be the level 3 base has been claimed to be the max level to get the 10% chance. So anything below level 3 will significantly lower your chances of spawning a scout or an Inquisitor site. We might want to try and kill this magnet quickly. We actually got neuted out on this one, so we have no capacitor because we had all the newts on us at the same time. So let's see if we can get that final hit off, get a bit more power. Why have we got no capacitor? Because they all have newts. So now let's get into why we shouldn't kill bases. We shouldn't kill bases because of, as previously mentioned, they spawn the Inquisitor sites and the Scout sites and the Dead Space sites. Now the Dead Space sites give the current best modules you can get in the game other than officers, which the only way I've seen officers being able to be gotten is by killing devs in events. So this is something that we can't actually farm for ourselves currently that I know of personally. So in order to actually spawn a Dead Space site, your base needs to be at least level 6. Now if your people in your corp say we need to farm bases to get the faction loot, you're actually limiting yourself in your progression of your ships and how you actually have them fitted. Now let's go into the activate the gate and go into the next part. Where is it? There it is. Go into the next part over here. And by limiting that, you're actually limiting your corp and people need to defend their bases in your own spaces. So if someone goes into an actual base, as my corp has actual rules, if anyone is caught in a base killing rats, they will be shot on sight. That will be even our own people if they decide to go in there and do some stuff. Now Casper and Omen are already in here, and they've already ended this site, and they're just picking up the stuff. The higher level Inquisitors and Scouts will actually drop the higher mark gear, and you'll also get so the lower level Inquisitors and Scouts will have no faction loot. When you get to level 4 special sites and above, you can start getting faction ships spawn. Now they start off as small ships, so you'll only be able to get small modules, and then there'll be at the higher level they'll go, you'll have some cruisers in there, so they'll start dropping medium faction stuff, and then you'll start getting the higher level ones which will drop your large modules for your battleships, battle cruisers, for example. I'm not going to tell you how to play your game. Everyone has their own right. That's why we love sandbox games, because we have the freedom of choice when we are doing what we are doing. But hopefully now you know why we don't kill bases. You might be able to figure out why you shouldn't. Now that's all we have for today for the introduction into combat anomalies. There will be a more in-depth guide where I give you exact numbers of each of the waves on all of the sites, etc., and what sort of items you get from each individual special site. I really hope this helps some of you. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already. We also have a Patreon set up for anyone who would like to help that little bit more for as little as $1. Every little helps. Thank you for watching, fly safe, and avoid local chat scams.